Folks, I feel I am pondering the question of human evil more and more each day with the world, the goings-on of the world. And I thought maybe I should take a step back for my own sanity, because how can you combat the wickedness and inequity in the world without some sort of a stable ground to stand on, you know? And then this latest monument to turpitude drops, the 2025 Advanced Viability Rankings, and myself and the voices in my head have come to a temporary truce to tackle what we agree to be the greatest evil that must be addressed immediately. So we'll start with the fact that Gold Mason, who collected the data and then organized and posted it, has taken some extra time in order to make this information known to us, quote-unquote, had a very busy last few months. Yeah, sure. I'm sure whatever Gold Mason was doing was more important than enabling the indulgence of gorging on this gluttonous Pokemon need I needed. I needed so... I needed so much, my mic just dropped out twice in like 3 seconds. So, yeah, thanks for... I feel like every Pokemon player is very familiar with addiction. I am not using this imagery lightly, because it's also SPL season. It's coming up, right? And so, no matter how many times I've sworn never again, you know, it's tempting me, it's calling, it's, you know, beckoning its finger and batting its eyelashes and, you know, raising its eyebrows and biting its lip and all that other suggestive jazz. Very specific picture I just conjured up there. Anyway, I guess that's what I do. Yes, so, remember, to quote the great film, The Room, people are very strange these days. I've been doing the Tommy Wiseau laugh, out of a horrible habit since watching it with some friends recently. So now I'm just like, instinctively, and no one around me gets it and thinks I'm going insane, except for my girlfriend, but, you know, she's like, this is going too far. Fun fact, the Tommy Wiseau laugh from The Room is very, very similar to the stereotypical fuckboy laugh. My girlfriend does an amazing fuckboy impression, you know, she, like, claps her hands together and goes like, so disgusted by the accuracy of the fuckboy that it also fell out. So I guess we should probably get to the Pokemon at some point. Not that I'm extremely invested in Advance right now, but so I'm not going to comment on this with any sort of authority. Instead, I'll let you know that it exists and look at some of it and then do some old man rage. Probably not really. And then I will mention... The one thing I will say about these trends that Colin7, has very helpfully put together. While skimming them, I was noticing a lot of people are talking about, and I've seen this not just in this post, but, you know, when seeing what people are saying about Advance, you know, people are saying, oh, Gengar's not so good right now, and I won't get into my usual thing about viability rankings and people's opinions and how they can be silly or whatever. All I'll say is that I will not be at all surprised if, or rather when, at some point, people go, actually, Gengar's really good right now, as if it doesn't just need, like, the most minor of tweaks, you know, tweaks which can be as minimal as playing and, not even changing your team or your movesets or whatever, just, you know, playing with greater conscientiousness of how people are trying to tackle it. For example, with the prominence of Mono-Blissey, which is Blissey with Seismic Toss as its only attacking move, which previously would be disaster, because you don't have Ice Beam or Flamethrower or Thunderbolt, you can't touch Gengar. And so Taunt Gengar just completely ruins you, because you can't just T-Wave it and let something else deal with it. But right now, Mono-Blissey is being used with a lot of spinners, and spinners basically force a trade with Gengar. And, you know, it's a fine strategy, of course, but I always think, stuff with Scarm and Gengar, whenever it runs into something that gives it some sort of, plays it in some sort of turmoil, all it takes is, like, awareness of it, and then you can dance around it, very easily. Because the stuff with Scarm, Gengar, whatever, everything else is always reacting to it, So all this means is, like, okay, well, be aware of the opposing spinner and do something about it, in play, not just... don't throw away your Gengar for risk of Mono-Bliss. And that's pretty much it. So I think a lot now, like this is a common sentiment I've seen, Gengar sucks. Okay, no one's saying Gengar sucks. But, Gengar is down right now. Gengar is only good on these teams or whatever. I'm sure, the people who are saying this have their experience, but I'm also going to say, this is not going to be a long-term knock against Gengar. People will realize that's what I just said. Yeah, but Mono-Bliss is very, very strong because not needing to run a special attack, a modest nature, number one, and you don't need special attack EVs, number two. Which you need not just to damage Gengar, but usually you have Ice Beam because that also lets you actually attack Dugtrio. And that means that you are not running, and pardon me for belaboring the obvious here for some, but it means that you can't run a bold nature to boost your defense even more, and with Blissey, its defense stat being so low means that every single point counts. And also, when you don't have to run special attack EVs, then you can do what you do in DPP. Bold Nature and max HP as well. So you become Blissey is already, like, embarrassingly good at taking physical attacks, like Hidden Power Flyings from Salamence and Gyarados, with just the 252 defense EVs. But as soon as you throw a Bold Nature in there, then you also have... you just... shrug off even things like T-Tar Rock Slides. So, and with T-Wave, T-Wave is just such a ruinous move, and I've made so many videos on how it's borderline broken and stupid and kind of uses a counter to everything, which is silly because it feels like it rewards just like, well, T-Wave it no matter what it is, but it works. So it's both the dumb move and the smart move at the same time, which is what we talk about when we say things dumb the game down. So you got to be careful with your T-Tar, getting a 1v1, and I think that means we might see more max attack Brick Break T-Tars, which I think already fits on the physical attacker, Rock Slide, EQ, HP Bug, Focus Punch. I think H-Clat had this set. I forgot what he dropped. It might have been Earthquake, but he had Rock Slide, Focus Punch, Brick Break, and HP Bug. And it had Black Belt, so the Focus Punches and the Brick Breaks really stung. Obviously, most teams are going to like the longevity, but these are same difference. A favorite expression of mine I haven't used in a while, so I had to really dig in there to get it out. So yeah, something like that might become more popular, or even like Mixed Menses, with attack investment, which was already great before. So I think those are some minor trends. Also, you got to watch out for getting too comfortable with non-Ice Beam Blissey, because then you do invite Salamence to do some nasty things. Like DD Refresh Salamence is already kind of being used, and you gotta watch out for that. Because suddenly, previously T-Wave would counter the Mets because T-Wave is basically an OHKO move against it, right? But it's DD, maybe it's DD twice, and then it DDs twice, and you're in trouble. Yep, I'm keeping my eye on my mic. Jeez Louise. Anyway. So, I thought that the young kids were progressive now, but looks like we're regressing. So much for Scarm and Blister better than T-Tar. T-Tar number one? So, no, I think that's to be expected. T-Tar number one. Scarm right behind it, number two, S-Rank. I won't disagree. Like I said, everything in advance pretty much reacts to Scarm, and it's then, Scarm's not so good right now because everything's reacting to it, and then Scarm adjusts like one thing. And then everyone's like, oh my god, Scarm's so great again. So Blissey's right behind it. Metagross in number 4 is... Metagross really is elite in so many... because it fits on literally every single team. Like, you could say things like, Blissey fits on every team, Scarm fits on every team, T-Tar. Of course. But Metagross fits on every team and has more immediate impact because of its strong explosion. Swampert in the top 5. It's not a flashy Pokemon, but you really do appreciate just how much it glues together when you stop using it. You know, when you think, oh, well, I have Metagross and Claydol and Suicune, so I'm fine against physical attackers, right? And suddenly, like, T-Tar and Mence are somehow still threatening you, and you're like, oh, I missed my Swampert. So, offensively, God, I don't know what it is with that. Yeah, I am in the market for a new computer, finally, which, actually, maybe it's the mic, too. Probably is the mic more. Anyway, so the other stuff seems fairly... I don't see anything too outrageous. I see that Charizard is carrying the Charlie Kirk Flame way more than Moltres, which is way behind it, which, you know, Charizard's speed and beat up make it more immediate hard. I see, like, a lot of people were saying that, like, Mixed Mence is being not outclassed, but, like, challenged by Charizard, and, I mean, I get it in terms of wall breaking, but Mence's Dragon Claw stab, the move pool is just extraordinary. To, you know, even throwing things like Hydro Pump with Claydol being so excellent. You know, it's always just a Hydro Mence away from being absolutely shattered. And the Intimidate, so, I don't know, I think people are being... Mixed Mence is not a Pokemon that you want to be forgetting. So, yeah. But... yeah, now I'm imagining all the stupid Charlie Kirk remixes I hear every day and somehow can't get out of my head. Yeah, anyway. So, nothing. Oh, Raikou and Registeel have risen. That's cool. Registeel ahead of Breloom. What a time. So, I made that video about the rise of Slop, which was not me denigrating a team style as Slop, but it was literally referred to as such by the player base, because that was apparently not clear. But yeah, I saw someone saying maybe we should move, actually a couple someone's, saying Raikou and Registeel might move up to OU soon. You know what? I would be interested. I'm sure after SPL we will look at it. But I'm not the person to dive into that in much greater detail. E-rank, sadly, my beloved Hariyama. One day. Cloyster's all the way down here, which, yeah, Cloyster feels like junk a lot. And Gyarados, I've never really been a Gyarados person at all, and I felt like I was going insane when everyone else was kind of that high up on it, and so I feel a little validated here. Nice to see Vaporeon. Rest of it looks fairly familiar to me. I mean, it's basically T-Tar, Scarm, Bliss, Swampert, Zapdos, Gengar, Jirachi, Salamence, Suicune, Dugtrio. Those are like the, you know, big ones. And then once you get to the B ranks, then you start filling out the more specific thing. Even that doesn't feel right. I think S through B1 are like the metagame, capital T, capital M, to, you know, some extent. And not that, you know, the rest isn't as important, because obviously you have stuff like Charizard, Fortress, Magneton, but it becomes more niche at this point. Whereas I get that, you know, Arrow or Celebi, you see, even that feels weird that these are, you know, outside the, not that they're outside the A's, but it feels weird to say that these are more specific than the A3s and Mence, Suicune, and Dugtrio. Dugtrio almost feels a little low, honestly, but yeah, I guess people are really terrified of DD Mence. You know, one DD from Mence and it's over. God forbid I trap anything with Dugtrio. I'm also not a big DD Mence person. Not a big DD person in general. I don't think any of the 3 DDers are particularly great for various reasons. But that's me personally, and I'm sure one's current played experience will be more informed on the subject. As much as I remember, then, yeah. Yeah, as tantalizing as it would be to get back in there and make myself suffer just so the opinion would be a little more informed. Yeah, so, I mean, these are more specific insofar as Lax requires a lot of support. Boy, does it. But, and Starmie is not a Pokemon you throw on everything. But, like, I feel like Arrow, Celebi, Claydol almost shouldn't be in the same rank as Starmie and Snorlax. It feels like Starmie and Snorlax should be... I mean, they're right ahead of Charizard, so it's not the biggest difference in the world. But it feels like Arrow, Celebi, Claydol are more foundational to the advanced metagame than...
are important Pokemon, but they feel more...
I don't know what is with this microphone. My apologies. Yeah, Starmie, Snorlax should be more specific. Not in that they're overly specific to the point where you need to denote them as such, but in the sense that they feel more Charizard level, which they functionally are, but yeah. So, yeah, S through B1 is like the real metagame, like the staples, and then this is where you start getting the still important, but the more niche stuff. I would put Magneton ahead of Fortress, but I think Magneton... Actually, I would put Magneton ahead of Charizard, personally, but that's me, and I think Magneton on Scarm teams is really good. I guess that's my bias seeping through. I'd put it ahead of Fortress, though. I've always thought Fortress was such junk. Yeah, super reactive junk. But that's me. That's me. That's another roomism I can't stop saying. That scene where he goes into the flower shop with the dog is just the funniest fucking thing. You're my favorite customer. Yeah, my girlfriend's friend has this dog, and, you know, whenever I see the dog, I just can't stop myself from going, "Hi, doggy." Yeah, anyway. Heracross? Do people still use Heracross? I'm sure they do. It just feels like a Pokemon that's constantly being disrespected, which I don't care for. But I'm glad that it's, you know, defending its place and not being overtaken by Medicham and Breloom. I remember a few years ago people were like, Breloom was better than Heracross. Yeah. Anyway, Vappy's Musings. Blissey used to be number 2 about 7 years back. No, it wasn't. 7 years? Oh, he's probably just misremembering the time, but 7 years ago was 2018. Blissey was not number 2. Usage-wise, I don't know, but usage is not viability. I know we had that fun debate before, but yeah. Well, yeah, Gar isn't a threat if sand is cleared. Oh, there's more sand clearing stuff. I mean, I wonder, personally, if all this talk about Dugtrio, we gotta test Dugtrio, it seems to be growing, but nothing's being done about it. So I wonder if we will ever... Oh, it's too much of an overhaul, I know, but Dugtrio's just such a silly Pokemon because... I'm not sure how I feel about this whole sandless deal. On one hand, I want to say it's going to be like Gengar, where people rediscover that, wow, sand, you know, does so many important things. But, yeah, this whole Dugtrio weather clearing stuff, I don't think Advance is really... I don't think it's really packing the right balance for that, so... Garrett feels awfully low? No. Send it to hell. Raikou, Registeel for OU. Trends. Okay. T-Tar, average rank. Scarm could take this top spot. Well, it took the top spot before, didn't it? Or, I don't even remember at this point. Whatever. I hope it does, because that would be interesting. And validating for me personally. That's my bias, because of my constant screaming about how Scarm rules. Blissey went from number 6 to number 3. Sure, Blissey is busted as hell. Banning of Dugtrio. Yes! Oh god, let's make this finally happen. I want to follow that tournament. That would get me excited to, you know, if not play, then watch. But yeah, I would love to... Come on, computer. Work with me. Yeah. Zapdos fell from number 5 to number 6. I don't really think this is... I think people this is a kind of trend that I think people overreact to. Like, I remember when 2021, people, quote-unquote, discovered Zapdos Dugtrio offense. Subpass Zapdos to Dugtrio, as if that didn't exist before. And suddenly it was like, oh my god, this is the most broken thing ever. We gotta do something about this. And then it died out and people were saying Zap Dug offense sucks now. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Zap Dug just means special offense with Zapdos and Dugtrio. There's so much beyond that. You could hardly even call it an archetype. You know? So, and I don't think, you know, the stereotypical Zap Dug special attacker stuff was bad. I think it was good in the first place because it was such a robust style overall. So, it's on a downward swing. I don't know, maybe. But nothing I've seen from the metagame would really point to this is not so good anymore, because it's one of those things. The style was good because it was good against everything, and nothing has really changed. The one thing, I guess, that would be more of a pain would be Raikou if you're not careful with your Dugtrio, but you should have some physical presence for Raikou anyway, so yeah. Yeah, the Zapdos thing about it being a default good Pokemon, I kind of get, and that a lot of people will throw Zapdos on their team. No, it's Zapdos, so it must be good, right? And it will do a lot, but it's not used with purpose as much. That's not really a knock against Zapdos itself, you know? And the same idea about the default good is thrown to Salamence here. Charizard being used over Mixments on... I mean, sure, it's good, but yeah. Again, I don't really know about, you know, number 5. If Zapdos is number 5, the number... Every time I make a Viability Rankings video, I say, you know, whether Zapdos is 5th or 6th is not really that significant. I don't think anyway. But it's fun to look at numbers and everything. People always say, you know... I've made this point before too, but it bears worth repeating that, you know, people say, oh, numbers don't lie. If that's where you think it starts and stops, then please look into it more. Dugtrio Rising? Sure. In terms of viability rankings. I mean, that makes sense as we are becoming more and more aware that, you know, Arena Trap really is busted as hell. So... Celebi dropping. I mean, I've seen some real Celebi slander in advanced spaces lately, where, I don't know, I feel like it's almost underrated, which is weird to say about something like advanced Celebi, but I guess this is what happens when you get, you know, too deep in the weeds, and you start, it kind of like, yeah, I see it a lot in movie world, where someone will just have the most terminally cinephilic take ever, and... You know, you'll say, oh, well, Michael Haneke actually, you know, sold out with cachet, and I just made that one up, but, like, that is something I would believe someone saying. You know, there are all sorts of insane stuff like that. I do love cachet, though. Incredible film. Yeah. And Dugtrio being busted. I really hope this Doug thing... I don't think it's going to happen in time for SPL, of course not, but, you know, finally, because it's been talked about for so long, you know, let's take the plunge, have the tournament, see what happens. Yeah, oh, there's a magpie on my balcony right now. My girlfriend likes feeding birds, you know, sickeningly sweet of her, and so we have magpies and pigeons coming to, you know, have their little wars, their gang violence on our balcony as they fight over the seeds. So... yeah, they just keep pecking at each other's necks. It's really something. Anyway, so... Okay, see, this one bugs me. Talk about defensive Starmie seeing a renaissance, because... also, I guess there's a new team style called the Unemployed 6. First we have Virgin 5, now Unemployed 6. There's nothing like Pokemon players choosing to insult each other. It's really something. Yeah, but then again, you know, I guess our world currently feels like a middle school cafeteria. So maybe this is actually kind of tame in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, yeah, I have always been a defensive Starmie opponent. I know a couple people do too, but it gets tossed around as this, you know, like weak Pokemon, and I don't know. I'm glad people are coming around to it, but nothing does what defensive Starmie does. It's really superb. So. Yeah, I guess that's basically it. I don't know about Gengar, Skarmory. Wait. Protoss. Yeah. Okay, that is the big thing. That the less you see Toxic Skarmory, the better you have it with a defensive Starmie. But I think defensive Starmie shouldn't be counting on that. I think you've got to have another way of dealing with Toxic Skarm. Because think about it the other way. If you have a Drill Peck Skarm, you know Starmie's going to be a pain, so you have to take it. You have to deal with it another way. You know, you got to have that, you know, plan to grab it with T-Tar, Gengar, Dugtrio, whatever it is. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm glad it's being used. It's I guess it was used a lot on the ladder. I should watch the ladder. Not even play on the ladder. I've had enough of that. Just watch it for funsies. Anyway, so we've seen max speed, max special attack, Starmie with Surf, Ice Beam, Recover, Rapid Spin. You know what? I dig that. I like the speed and power of Starmie that can still heal and give Rapid Spin. I remember there was something I was using a few years ago that was 3 attack, Recover Starmie alongside Claydol. So you have all the benefits of offensive Starmie without the fact that it gets destroyed by Seismic Toss. Because now you can just sit on a Blissey like that. And you don't give up Rapid Spin if you have it elsewhere, because it's super easy to fit alongside Claydol. So, but obviously, if you are not going to fit Claydol on your team, then this is very, very nice. So yeah, make sure you have that Zapdos there to make up for the lack of Thunderbolt, so you don't get utterly ruined by a lot of things actually. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad defensive Starmie is being used. I'm glad this hybrid Starmie is being used. Yeah, good with me. Average ranking going up. Cool. Moltres dropping, but I guess it's just looked at. It's looked at as outclassed by Charizard on Spike's teams, but it's a little better as a Gengar pivot, I suppose. In terms of Blaze. Letting it take a Thunderbolt and deal damage back. But if Moltres has Overheat, it doesn't need to be in Blaze range, and it's got better overall bulk, if I remember correctly, on the special side. Yeah, I don't know how, because Charizard's better speed, wonderful, but that Moltres power and tanking ability, I think, is underrated too, and with how broken Will-O-Wisp is, my god. So, yeah, previously, of course, it was Charizard on Spikeless team, Moltres on Spike's teams, because Charizard doesn't need Spikes to threaten Blissey because it has Beat Up or Focus Punch. Obviously, doesn't mean it can't be used on Spikes. But yeah, I think Moltres will probably pop up at some point again, because they are very, very, very similar. And that immediate higher power, I mean, Moltres Overheat is stunningly strong. So, yeah, I'm sure it will. And am I misremembering that special? I know it has more HP, but special defense, it's not a major gap, but, I think Moltres is more comfortable taking. Yeah, it's got to be, right? Moltres would be more comfortable taking something like a Starmie Surf, for instance. So, staying in and HP grassing it. So, yeah, Registeel, Raikou, this has been addressed a lot. I hope it happens. I am warming up to the idea of Raikou more and more. I remember I was there when Raikou fell off, right? When I realized, like, man, I don't think this thing's that good, and then no one was using it, and whenever it was used, it was kind of like, is this the best thing to use? I think people are using all sorts of weird stuff with it. The relationship with Dugtrio is troublesome, though. Yeah. Anyway, so Registeel, made a video on that semi-recently, so won't belabor that. And Vaporeon rose. I'm happy to see that. I always like Vaporeon. Now you can't pass speed with it anymore because of the latest BP updates, so you can't do the Salic pass thing, which is a shame. But, yeah, I've always liked offensive Vaporeon. Just sub-pass lefties is such a great set. It's so threatening. The reason sub-pass Vaporeon is so good is that it's hard to wall for most teams, and the teams that do wall it with something like a Blissey or a Milotic, you just sub on them, and then you pass that 101 sub to something. Easy as pie. So, yeah, I am a big fan of Vaporeon rising. I hope it keeps rising. Yeah, maybe we'll see sub-Pataya Vaporeon pass. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, that's basically it. I think Vaporeon has a lot of potential. And, of course, defensive Vaporeon, I'm also glad to see. I always thought that was a little underrated. Specifically because I think now people would probably be using it because of how automatically people tend to use Crocoon, Calm Mind Suicune, as a solution to bulky teams. And now, it's not as simple as, use Vaporeon, beat the Suicune, because Vaporeon technically loses one-on-one in a PP war. Actually, unless there's sand, unless there's no sand, in which case I think it would probably be an endless struggle war, which sounds delightful. But in sand, I think Suicune would technically win. But that's why you use, I assume, haze, and you would have to pair it with something else. But you could do something like an unaware Pokemon using haze. You know, you switch in at +6. You know, you ignore the boost, you haze, then you switch back out so you're not using PP, and you make them waste more PP boosting, then you can switch back anytime. You would do something similar with Vaporeon. Let's we can get to +6, go to Vaporeon, haze, and then switch out. Yeah. So that's basically it from me. Thanks so much for watching, mostly listening. This one is very decidedly non-visual. So yeah, thanks so much. And I will see you in the next one, whatever and whenever it is.